Is Grandpa behaving himself? Emily asked casually. More or less, came the reply. He hurt his leg. Honestly, old people can be such a nuisance. I wish they'd think about the burden they put on those who have to look after them. Patricia frowned. That's a terrible thing to say. Oh, relax. He's already declining anyway. I can't deal with the hassle of elderly people. You're used to it, so you can take care of him. A few days earlier, my husband's grandfather, Michael, had fallen in the garden and injured his leg. It wasn't serious, but at 82, even a minor injury was reason enough for caution. The doctor advised bed rest to prevent complications. Despite that, my mother-in-law wouldn't even step into his room, let alone help care for him. My name is Emily. I'm 30 years old, married for 3 years, and living with my husband Daniel's family. Daniel was once my boss. The company we worked for was founded by his grandfather. When I joined 8 years ago, my father-in-law, Christopher, was the president, while Grandpa Michael still served as chairman. Back then, despite his age, Grandpa handled all the real decisions. Everyone listened to him. 2 years ago, when he turned 80, Grandpa stepped back from public duties, leaving most responsibilities to my father-in-law, though he kept the chairman title. You've worked hard long enough, my mother-in-law had said with a smile. Leave everything to Christopher and enjoy your retirement. Her tone was gentle, but something about it felt sharp, almost mocking. Grandpa Michael can be stubborn, but he's fair, kind, and deeply respected. My father-in-law, on the other hand, feels hollow. He rarely voices his own opinions and simply follows whatever my mother-in-law decides. Compared to Grandpa, he seems unreliable. My grandmother-in-law passed away years ago. I never had the chance to meet her. Daniel and I started dating after working together on the same product planning team. He was confident, decisive, maybe even a little self-righteous, but to me, he felt dependable. Perhaps that was because I lost my father young and was raised by my mother alone. 2 years ago, my mother also passed away after a long illness. Now, aside from my in-laws, I have no family left. Shortly after I married, my mother fell seriously ill. I quit my job to care for her. No one in Daniel's family objected, largely because Grandpa spoke up. It's only right to care for the mother who raised you by herself, he said firmly. Don't worry about money. Be there for her. Because of him, I was able to stay by my mother's side for an entire year without fear or guilt. For that, I will always be grateful. But after Grandpa stepped back from the company, everything changed. People stopped listening to him. His words were brushed aside. At first, I thought I was imagining it, but watching my husband and my mother-in-law, I realized I wasn't wrong. Christopher's indifference was the worst. It was as if Grandpa had already outlived his usefulness. One day, I couldn't stay silent anymore. Don't you think you're being too cold? I asked. Grandpa talks to you, and you barely answer. You don't even try to help him. What's the problem? Patricia snapped. I don't have time for old people. You're free, you take care of him. You don't have to say it like that. Enough. I'm exhausted from work. Stop nagging me over pointless things. That was always how it ended. Grandpa never complained. He never confronted them. And in that house, I became the only one who still talked to him. Grandpa, I said one morning, the weather's nice. How about a short walk? Your leg looks much better, it'll be good rehabilitation. He smiled softly. All right, let's go. At the park, children ran and laughed while parents watched nearby. Grandpa stared at the scene for a long time. Christopher and Daniel used to play like that, he murmured. I was always too busy with work. Maybe that's why. I failed them as a father. His voice was calm, but his expression wasn't. It hurt to hear. I wanted everyone to treat him better, but I didn't know how to make that happen. Then my in-laws proposed something unexpected. This house is over 50 years old, my mother-in-law said. The layout is inconvenient. Instead of repairing it, we should build a new one. A new house? Grandpa repeated. Michael is getting older, she continued smoothly. What if next time the injury is worse? We should make it barrier-free, easier for care. We can put Michael's room in the center, Christopher added, so everyone can look after him. Sounds reasonable. Then it's settled. Michael, about the cost. If it's for all of us, I'll cover it. Grandpa said calmly. Have Mr. Jones handle the funds. Of course, my mother-in-law replied, smiling brightly. Thank you. That smile made my chest tighten. It felt like they only remembered Grandpa's worth when money was involved. Still, I hoped the new house would change things, that everyone would finally care for him properly. Mr. Jones, Grandpa's trusted lawyer and financial manager, had worked with him for nearly 30 years. Grandpa trusted him more than anyone. Sometimes, Mr. Jones acted more like a devoted son than Grandpa's actual children, knowing that gave me some comfort. I wasn't involved in the house planning, but my mother-in-law seemed delighted. She, Christopher, and Daniel eagerly flipped through magazines, discussing layouts and designs. Everything appeared to be going smoothly. Until it wasn't. One evening, shocking news surfaced. My grandfather-in-law was suddenly said to be in debt, $1,820,000. What do you mean? I blurted out. That much? It turned out Grandpa had co-signed a loan for a friend's struggling company. When it collapsed, the debt fell onto him. They're not going to take the new house, are they? I asked urgently. My mother-in-law sighed in relief. No, the contract's already finalized, and the house is under the president's name. Oh, thank goodness, she said, smiling. I'm glad we handled it my way. As I listened to their conversation, a cold realization settled in my chest. It was then that I learned, for the first time, that the new house had been registered under my father-in-law's name, even though every cent of it had come from my grandfather-in-law. Of course it was. That kind of calculation was exactly my mother-in-law's style. What I couldn't understand was this: if Grandpa truly owed such a massive debt, why didn't anyone even consider giving up the house to help repay it? Hey, my husband said casually, this debt is Grandpa's personal problem, right? It has nothing to do with us or the company. That's right, my mother-in-law replied smoothly. It's all under Michael's name, so there's no issue. I didn't understand what part of that was fine, but Grandpa remained silent throughout the conversation. Seeing that, I swallowed my objections. After all, this was far beyond anything I could resolve. A few days later, Grandpa began to act strangely. Grandpa, what would you like for lunch? I asked gently. Who are you calling Grandpa? He snapped. I'm only 50. Don't speak to me like that. I froze. Sorry, Emily, right? At first, I thought he was simply distracted, but when similar incidents kept happening, a deep unease settled in my chest. Patricia, what are you doing? Where's my meal? He suddenly demanded. Grandpa, I said carefully, I'm Emily. Patricia is your daughter-in-law. You already ate. I didn't eat, he shouted. Are you trying to starve me? That was when it hit me. The debt. The abandonment. The shock of realizing no one in his own family would help him. It must have crushed him. I suspected the stress had triggered cognitive decline, possibly dementia. I begged him to go to the hospital, but he refused outright. I'm not sick, he insisted. I don't need doctors. I didn't want to force him, but I couldn't handle this alone. When I turned to my husband, he brushed me off. My mother-in-law showed no interest whatsoever. Left with no other choice, I approached my father-in-law. Patricia and Daniel mentioned it, he said indifferently. They think it might be dementia. Then please, I urged, come to the hospital with us. But it's not serious yet, is it? He replied. If word gets out that my father has dementia, it'll damage our reputation. There are medications that can slow it down. No need to rush. Let's observe for now. You're there anyway, Emily. He'll be fine. That was the moment I understood. I couldn't rely on any of them. Grandpa, I pleaded softly later. Let's just get you checked, please. Who are you? He barked. Where are you trying to take me? You're plotting something. Tears burned my eyes, but my mother-in-law laughed. It doesn't matter anymore, she said lightly. Even if he used to be chairman, it's over. The company belongs to Christopher now. Patricia, I snapped. He can still hear you. He'll forget soon enough, she scoffed. He'll wander around, drool everywhere. Just thinking about it gives me chills. He's nothing but a burden now. How can you say that? I cried. He built this family with his own hands. Grandpa only smiled faintly. See? She laughed again. He doesn't understand a thing. I was shaking with anger. Still, the new house would be finished soon. I clung to the fragile hope that once we moved, things might change. After all, Grandpa had paid for it. Surely, they'd show at least a little gratitude. 2 months later, the house was complete. 4 days. I packed non-stop, my husband's belongings, my in-laws' belongings, everything except my own and Grandpa's. Every time I tried to organize my things, I was interrupted with more errands. It's fine, I told myself. I can move my things later. On moving day, after most of the furniture had been transported, I went to call my father-in-law. But my husband stopped me. "Oh, you and Grandpa can stay here," he said casually. "What? You'll live in this house. We don't need extra baggage in the new place, and I'm transferring Grandpa's debt to you, too. Think of it as payment for being a live-in caretaker." Then he turned away. "Let's go." "Yeah. Good luck with the debt," and the old man. They left smiling. For several seconds, I couldn't move. My mind simply refused to accept what had happened. They hadn't just abandoned me. They had abandoned Grandpa. Only then did the truth sink in. Slowly, I walked toward the back room. I didn't mind caring for Grandpa, that had always been my intention. But how could I explain this cruelty to him? Before I could speak, he turned around. "Have they left already?" His eyes were clear, sharp, nothing like before. For a moment, I wondered if this was another symptom, but then he smiled. Just then, Mr. Jones entered. "Chairman," he said calmly, "have you finished dismissing the unnecessary staff?" "Yes," Grandpa replied. "Everything went exactly as planned. Let's go." "Go where?" I whispered. "To the new house, of course." I followed him out, my mind spinning. A month later, my phone wouldn't stop ringing. My mother-in-law, my husband. Grandpa refused to answer them, but I picked up once, because of the looming divorce. "Emily, is Grandpa with you?" my husband demanded. "The old house is up for sale. It's not worth enough to cover the debt. Is this some kind of trick?" I let him talk. Finally, he burst out. Grandpa sold his company shares. The executive director became the largest shareholder, held a board meeting, and had Dad removed as president. That man must have tricked Grandpa. "This is invalid." "You're mistaken," I said calmly. "Grandpa doesn't have dementia." "What?" "He never did." From the moment my mother-in-law suggested the house, Grandpa had been suspicious. He pretended to be senile, to see everyone's true colors. And they showed them perfectly. To deceive the enemy. He later told me with a chuckle, "You must first deceive your allies." With Mr. Jones and the executive director, he had monitored the company closely. Once he saw how recklessly his son and grandson behaved, he made his decision. The debt? Covered by his personal assets. The house? Mortgaged, signed blindly by Christopher. My in-laws lost everything. Now, Grandpa lives quietly in the countryside. I chose to stay with him. "If you don't mind," I said through tears, "please let me be your family." He nodded, his eyes wet. "Now, we work the fields together. Dad, look how big this radish is." In the warm sunlight, I silently wished these days would last, even if just a little longer.